The House Agricultural Committee has approved a version of the Farm Bill that includes deep cuts to food assistance programs, food stamps, and basically they are advocating for $35 billion to be cut from the federal food and nutrition budget, and $16.5 billion of which comes out of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP. Now, what they're really focusing on is cutting the SNAP program for those who are categorically eligible. And I'll explain what that is later, but just keep in mind that this will affect 2 to 3 million Americans. They will lose access to these food stamps, and it will also impact 280,000 children who will not be eligible for the free lunch program. Okay, by the way, for those of you who are wondering what the SNAP program is and what it assists people with, it basically averages to about $1.50 per person per meal. So that's the kind of government assistance they're getting. They're living high off the hog. $31 per person per week. And also, nearly all recipients have incomes below the poverty line. The rate of error and fraud is under 4.36%, according to the Government Accountability Office. So, of course, you'll hear Republicans saying, oh, look at these people taking advantage of government handouts. People who don't even deserve it, people who are making a ton of money. But no, the reality is, when it comes to fraud, it's only 4.3%.
So it is, in fact, overwhelmingly going to the poor who actually need it.
Yes.
And it is, in fact, a small amount. $1.50 per meal is ridiculously low. And I, nonetheless, have mixed feelings about this.
Right, which I honestly can't believe. Every once in a while, Cenk's conservative side comes out, and this is one of these are one of the stories, or this is one of the stories where his conservative side comes out. It makes absolutely no sense at all.
Now, okay, all right. Can I state it first? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Now, look, I believe, first of all, when you cut these programs and don't raise taxes on the rich, when taxes are at a historical low, it is outrageous. So if you ask me about my priorities, are you kidding me? I would raise taxes on the rich 1,000,000 times more than I would cut these programs. So I don't want anybody to get confused on that. Now, having said that, if we had raised taxes on the rich to a sane level and we've got an equitable distribution and of taxes, et cetera, and we've straightened out all the other problems and we still have a deficit, and you said, hey, listen, I need the food stamps to go to people only below the poverty line, I think that that is an argument that could be considered reasonable. Now, because I say, all right, now this applies to people that are a little above the poverty line. Well, then you can go 20% above the poverty line or 30%. Where do you draw the line? Now, you might say poverty line should be higher. Okay, that's a fair argument. But I think a poverty line is a pretty reasonable place to draw the line for food stamps.
Now, let me tell you how poor you need to be in order to be eligible for the food stamp program. So there's categorical eligibility, and that basically allows states to decide whether or not they want to expand the food stamp program to those who are just making a little bit above the poverty line, okay? So it's an option that gives states flexibility to grant benefits to families that have gross incomes slightly over 130% of the poverty line. And that basically means an income, a gross income of $2,400 for a family of 4, and that's per month.
So obviously that's not a giant amount of money, and nonetheless, I still say that there's 2 issues here. One, there has to be a line somewhere, as tough as that is, right? And then number 2, I think that, and this will get me in a ton of trouble with liberals, but I think that if you keep giving food stamps to more and more people, it does create some degree of a culture of dependency, okay? Now, I'm not in the Rush Limbaugh camp of, oh, well, if you're poor, well, how do you go to your fridge and get a sandwich? Okay, no, I understand why you're poor. I understand you really can't afford the food, and I understand how hard it is. But at the same time, it's a matter of incentives and disincentives. This is what we talk about when it comes to the financial industry and in almost everything else.
I know, Cenk.
And if you give people an incentive to rely on the government, some percentage of people will over-rely on the government, which doesn't help them, it hurts them.
$1.50 per meal is not an incentive to remain on food stamps.
Since you're not in that context, it's like I get why you think, my God, that's so low. That can't possibly be an incentive for anyone. But I don't agree with that. I think that it is some incentive for some people. And so I know that back in the day, then we had unlimited welfare. That's not fair. A different welfare system, not unlimited welfare. That's ridiculous, okay? Before Bill Clinton did the welfare reform, we had more and more people on welfare because why? We would give them a check if they had another kid. Right. Now, again, oversimplifying, I understand that. But what did it do? It created some incentive to have more kids. Now, people say, oh, come on, they're not going to have more kids for an extra $100. Except some people do. And in this story, one of the women that is highlighted by the Democrats is, look at her suffer. She's got 6 kids, et cetera, et cetera. But wait a minute. If you're on food stamps, why on God's green earth do you have 6 kids?
Okay, let me just... Okay. So many different things you're saying here. First of all, the woman with the 6 kids, right? So people are demonizing her. Oh, she has 6 kids. How dare you? You're on food stamps. So why did you put yourself in that situation anyway? We're living in a country right now where Obama has to fight just to provide contraception, affordable contraception to women, right? And you have right-wingers basically arguing that comprehensive sex ed has no place within our schools. They want to make sure they keep information away from us. You have the Catholic Church trying to make sure that we don't have access to contraceptions. So it's a problem in the country. Now, even if she does have access to contraception and she could have afforded it and it wasn't a problem for her, so what are we going to do? We're just going to let her 6 kids starve? She made that decision, unfortunately, to have the 6 kids. I don't think the 6 kids should live a disastrous lifestyle because of a decision that their mothers made. They need to at least have access to the food. Okay,
well,
and $1.
But by that logic, she could have 12 kids, 16 kids, and we have to keep paying and paying. And look, it's not the kid's fault. I understand that. But at the same time, we have to create a system that doesn't give additional incentives, and that perhaps might even have disincentives for having more kids.
But this isn't an incentive, Cenk. It really isn't. $1.50 per meal is not an incentive. No one wants to live that way. I know you think we live in a bubble, but regardless of what bubble you live in, even if you're extremely poor, $1.50 is simply not enough money to buy nutritious food. There's no question about that, especially with the price of food increasing more and more. It's not enough money. And to say like, oh, you know, you're making more than $29,000 a year for your family of 4. So because of that, you're not going to get any assistance for food. Mm-hmm. You know, in the state of New Jersey, to make ends meet for a family of 4, you need to have a household income of $60,000. So if you're making $29,000, imagine what kind of lifestyle you're living with a family of 4. And also keep in mind, look, wages have been stagnant. This is the working poor. People who do have jobs, they're working, but they're simply not making enough money to make ends meet, right? So the problem with that is, why do we have jobs in this country that don't allow people to make ends meet?
Now, okay, when you look at the structural issues, I agree with you. So we should be concentrating on getting people better jobs. If you say, hey, let's raise the minimum wage, I'm 100% with you. Those people are working hard, and we haven't raised the minimum wage in a long time, and we need to create a more stable middle class so they don't need food stamps. I totally agree with you. A matter of priorities, I would put this at the bottom of my list of things to cut, right? Unfortunately, in our topsy-turvy world, it's at the top of the listings of things getting actually cut. If you talk to me about welfare for corporations, well, that's a million times worse. The corporate welfare we do as we're taking money out of these poor kids' mouths, we're giving $7 billion a year in subsidies to oil companies. So I agree with you on all of that. All I'm saying is, if we lived in a great world where we solved all of those problems, and we're on priority number 87, and we still haven't balanced the budget, I'm saying that this is a legitimate debate to have.
Right, okay, but we don't live, hold on really quick, but we don't live in that world right now. We're not even close to living in that world right now, and this is legislation that has been proposed by the Agricultural Committee. So this, I am 100% against that.
All right, then let me clarify. Mm-hmm. So, because that's a good point, I don't want people to mistake you. In this world, I vote against that legislation, okay? Now, but on the other hand, if they said, all right, look, I'm gonna raise taxes on the rich to 50%, okay? And we're gonna get a fair distribution. I'm gonna stop giving away subsidies to GE, the defense contractors, the oil subsidies. If you agree to keep this program to the poverty line, I would make that deal.